Do your teeth actually age? Well, the answer is yes, and it'll show. But here's the good news. There are some simple ways that we have that can keep your teeth looking younger for longer. So in this video, I'm gonna go over some subtle signs that show that your teeth are actually aging that can make you look a whole lot older than you actually do. I'm also gonna go over what you can do right now to protect your teeth and make sure they stay looking really young to give you that natural young look for as long as possible. So one thing that happens as we age is our teeth tend to get darker. They tend to get more yellow or more gray as we age. Part of this has to do with our enamel. Our enamel is our outer layer of our teeth, and it's the strongest substance in our body. But just like anything, it can wear down. And the more we use our teeth, which is what happens as we age, the more our enamel wears down. The problem with our enamel is our enamel never grows back. So once we lose some of our enamel, it never comes back. So even if you brush super hard for a long time, or if you grind your teeth, or if you just chew on a lot of hard foods, over time you're gonna keep thinning that enamel, and then it can start to wear down more and more. Also, what happens as we age is our teeth tend to get shorter. And this can again happen from all the wear and the years that we put on our teeth. And especially if we grind our teeth. If we're putting all this stress on our teeth all the time, our teeth are gonna start to chip, they're gonna start to shorten over the years, and then they're also gonna start to look more uneven or jaggedy. Another problem we tend to get as we age is our gums. Our gums start to pull back as we get older. We start to lose bone around our teeth. So the bone is kind of what supports our teeth. And if we ever lose bone, our gums will follow. And if our gums start to follow, our teeth can start to look longer. We can start to expose the roots of our teeth. And the roots again look more yellow. And then we can start to get these black triangles or these gaps or spaces in between your teeth. These are all things that make us just look older. And sometimes as you get older, you end up losing a tooth or two. You might think oh, I just lost one tooth, not a big deal. But what happens is if you lose a tooth and you don't do anything to replace it, you start to get bone loss. And this can really add up if you lose more teeth. For example, people with dentures, they have a really sunken face look. Because they lost so much bone, their face just kind of gets sunken in, and this makes them look a lot older than they actually are. So what are some everyday habits that we're doing that are just aging our teeth faster? So I wrote down 5 things that I could think of. So number 1 is you're just not brushing and flossing correctly. Number 2 is any acidic foods or drinks. And number 3 is grinding your teeth. Number 4 is vaping or smoking. Smoking is more obvious, so I put vaping. And number 5 is coffee and things like red wine. So we're gonna get into all these. So let's start with number 1. This one's probably the most obvious, but you need to brush and floss in order to keep your teeth clean. Brushing is to get the surfaces of your teeth. Flossing is how you clean in between your teeth and also keep your gums clean. Both are important if you want young, healthy looking teeth. What happens is you can get this plaque or this bacteria that builds up on your teeth. And you get this right away. As soon as you get your teeth clean, within 24 hours, you have some plaque already building up on your teeth. So you need to start brushing and flossing regularly if you want to preserve your smile. If this plaque is not cleaned away, if you don't floss your teeth, then you can start to have this plaque get hardened onto your teeth. It can turn into something called tartar. Tartar is basically this bacteria that has gotten stuck to your teeth. And if this isn't cleaned away, then over time it can cause more inflammation. This inflammation will not just affect your gums, eventually it could affect your bones or the bones that surround your teeth. And we talked about this before, but if your bones start to get affected, they can start to pull away. And once you lose bone, it's really, really hard to get back. You probably need a surgery, and even then it might not be possible, and it's gonna be really expensive. But if you do start to lose bone, then your teeth are gonna look longer, they're gonna look older, and that's not what you want. So the simplest thing you can do is start brushing and flossing. And this is also why we recommend using a remineralizing toothpaste when you brush. So something that can basically strengthen your enamel, because we talked about how your enamel, once you lose it, it doesn't come back. So this is why we recommend a toothpaste that has fluoride in it, because fluoride can basically strengthen your enamel and help preserve it for as long as possible. Now, if you're not a fan of fluoride and you don't want to use a fluoride toothpaste, you can also use a nano-hydroxyapatite toothpaste, which will still remineralize and strengthen your teeth, but it won't make them as strong as fluoride. Now, number 2 is any acidic foods or drinks that you have. So these are things like soda or any citrus things or any vinegar. And honestly, most foods that we eat, especially things that are high in refined carbohydrates, are gonna be acidic for our mouth. So any type of acid is gonna thin our enamel. It's gonna make our enamel thinner. And we talked about how important our enamel is, especially if we want to look younger. Our enamel is really strong, but the one thing that can cause cavities and cause these holes to form in our teeth is acid, because these bacteria in our mouth will eat these sugars, and then in turn they'll poop out these acids, and these acids will sit on our teeth and dissolve them and basically cause these holes to form. So any acidic drinks or acidic foods that we have are going to lower the pH in our mouth. It's going to make everything more acidic and basically start dissolving our enamel more. It's not going to happen in one day, but 10, 20 years from now, you're going to wonder why my enamel is so thin, why things are so worn down. And as you start to lose your enamel, then your teeth are going to look more yellow, they're going to look more thin. And also if you brush and floss really aggressively, or if you grind your teeth really aggressively, they're already going to be weaker, so they're going to start to wear down even faster. So if this sounds like you and you like to have these acidic drinks or acidic foods, then what can you do? Well, number one is to limit the frequency. So let's say you drink on a Coke or a kombucha or something and you sip it throughout the day. That's going to be much worse than if you were to just chug it in one sitting. So let's say you like to have it with your lunch. Or rather have you chug it, or you don't really have to chug it, you can just drink it all at once in that one meal time, and then throughout the day you don't sip on it anymore. Because the more frequently that you put these things in your mouth, the less time you're getting saliva to build up in your mouth. Now, saliva is like a natural bodyguard for our teeth. So it will dilute these acids. And if you have these acids entering our mouth at our mealtime, our saliva is going to have time to build up now and wash away these acids and protect our teeth. But if you keep sipping on something throughout the day, then you're going to keep introducing more acids into our mouth, and our saliva is going to have a hard time fighting this off. So the less frequently you're putting into your mouth, it's not as much about the volume of how much you're putting into your mouth, but the less frequently that you're actually drinking these things, the better. And also you can rinse with water or something after you drink one of these. So let's say you drink something like an orange juice. If you just take a glass of water and take a sip, swish it around a little bit, that's going to help dilute those acids too. Now on to number 3, which is grinding your teeth. Now a lot of times this is something we cannot control because we're doing it when we're sleeping. But sometimes we do it during the daytime. So I'm going to talk about both. I'm going to actually start about talking about the daytime. So if you know that you're someone that someone grinds your gears, or someone makes you upset and you get stressed out really easily, then you start to grind your teeth as a reaction, you probably can sense that you do this. If you don't know if you do this, ask someone. Sometimes someone can simply hear you doing this. If this is something that you can do, it's a real bad habit, because when you grind during the daytime, like when you're awake, studies actually show that you're actually grinding with much more force than when you grind when you're sleeping. So that means if you're like really stressed out and you're driving and then someone cuts you off and you start grinding your teeth, you're doing a ton of more damage in that one moment of grinding your teeth than if you were to just grind your teeth while you're sleeping for like a few nights. Now, on the other hand, if it's something that you're doing when you're sleeping, this is something that is completely out of your control. So there's a couple things that you can address here. The first thing is just getting something called a bite splint made. A bite splint or a night guard is something that your dentist can make. It's like a custom mouth guard that just goes over one arch, either your top or your bottom teeth. And if you ever grind or clench your teeth, it kind of deflects those forces. So it really protects your teeth. But also if you get like jaw pain or headaches, it protects you from getting those as well, because it's deflecting all those muscles. So now you're going to protect your teeth, but also protect yourself from getting jaw pain and headaches. This is probably the easiest solution if you do grind your teeth at night. Now the second thing, which is a little bit harder, is improving your sleep. Now I did make some other videos specifically about tooth grinding and how to prevent it by improving your sleep. So I'm putting a link in the description below because it can get a little complicated. Now number 4, the fourth thing that is making your teeth age faster is vaping or smoking. The first thing that these things do is when you inhale them, they're actually staining your enamel. They can put these stains on your teeth that are really hard to get off. And the second problem with them is they're really bad for your gums, and they can actually cause gum loss, or your gums to kind of pull back and recede. And obviously that's not going to be good if you want your teeth to look healthy. Now I don't really have a whole lot of alternatives here, because the best one would obviously be just to quit, but some people also turn to Zyn. Now the benefit of a Zyn is not something that you're inhaling, so it's going to protect your lungs a little bit better, but it's a pouch that you're putting directly on your gums. And you got to think, if you're putting something directly on your gums over and over, it's going to start to irritate that tissue. What happens when it gets irritated is the gums start to pull back. So you're going to run into the same issue. If you are someone that uses a Zyn, I'd recommend changing the location and not using the same location over and over. And that being said, I made another video talking about Zyns and how it affects your oral health. So check out the description below for that video as well. Now number 5 is coffee, or like your daily coffee or your daily red wine, something that you drink every single morning or every single night. The first thing with these drinks is they're acidic. So your coffee's acidic, your red wine is acidic, and we already talked about the acidic foods, how that lowers a pH in our mouth and how our enamel does not like that. The other thing with these drinks, like coffee and red wine, is, as you probably know, if you're a drinker, they stain our teeth. And these stains can be tricky to remove. They can get deep down inside of our enamel. Now, a lot of times you can get these stains polished off at your dental cleaning. So if you go and get your teeth cleaned and they polish them, a lot of times they can come off. But sometimes they can start to linger and they can stay. They might not completely go away. So me personally, I don't drink any coffee and I don't drink alcohol. So it can be really easy for me to tell you to just stop drinking it and just drink water all day. But I know that's easier said than done, and most people are not gonna follow those rules. What you can do instead is every time you drink your sip of coffee, have some water on the side and just swish it around. And the second thing you can do is, again, try to have it all in one sitting. So if you like to have your coffee in the morning, don't sip on it throughout the day. And you probably don't want to drink your coffee closer to the afternoon, evening time anyway, because then you might have trouble sleeping at night. And we can get on a different tangent about this topic alone. But it's better to have it all in one sitting, kind of like we talked about with the acidic foods, so you're not constantly exposing those acids into your mouth. Now, with that being said, there are a few bonus tips I'm gonna give you just to keep your teeth looking as young as possible. So the first one is, we talked about when you brush, a simple thing is do not push too hard with that toothbrush. Whether you have an electric toothbrush or a manual toothbrush, you don't want to scrub too hard. It's actually better to be really gentle. It'll clean your teeth better and it'll protect that enamel so you're not thinning it as you get older. And also, you can still just whiten your teeth if you're worried about your teeth getting more yellow. Whitening your teeth is completely safe if you use the products correctly. This is something you can do at your dental visits or something you can do at home depending on the product that you get. And obviously, if you aren't already, make sure you're going to the dentist for regular checkups. You should be going every 6 months to get your teeth cleaned, get any x-rays taken, and get any problems taken care of. Now, some other tips I have that can help out are aligning your teeth properly. If you have really crowded teeth, your teeth are gonna age faster. So if you get some Invisalign or braces to kind of straighten them out, they're not gonna wear down and chip as much. And you can really preserve them and keep them looking young a lot longer. And part of that is because straighter teeth are easier to clean. When your teeth are kind of crowded in different angles, it can be really hard to clean them properly. And I've seen this all the time where people start to lose bone around these really crooked teeth. They start to get these deeper pockets, all because their teeth were kind of crowded in the area. But if you straighten them and get everything aligned, everything's so much easier to clean properly. Another tip I have is to start chewing gum, specifically a sugar-free gum that has xylitol in it. So this is really good after meals or after you eat something acidic, because when you chew gum, it stimulates your saliva. And we talked about how your saliva is super important for keeping your teeth young and healthy. But also it can dilute those acids again. Now, the cool thing about xylitol specifically is it's an antibacterial. Actually, it's the only sugar substitute that can actively prevent getting cavities. So on top of getting extra saliva, now you're basically preventing yourself from getting new cavities and protecting your teeth even more. Another tip I have is if you like to snack, try to snack on healthier foods like fruits and vegetables. So things like peppers, like green peppers or carrots or different fruits, because these are gonna be a lot healthier for your teeth. You're gonna get the necessary vitamins and minerals to keep your teeth strong and healthy. And you're not gonna risk getting cavities or having the acid from these fruits and vegetables break down your teeth. Obviously, some fruits are acidic, but you still get the fiber in it, so you're gonna get a lot more benefits from that versus something like potato chips. Now, the last tip I have is avoiding a dry mouth. And this is a big one, and you can probably obviously guess, I talked so much about saliva already, and if you do not have saliva, then you're gonna negate all the benefits from that saliva. Anybody that has a super dry mouth, their teeth are gonna age faster. So some quick tips I have to avoid a dry mouth is tape your mouth shut while you're sleeping. I know that's a really weird one, but if you sleep with your mouth open, you're gonna be drying up all that saliva. Your mouth is gonna wake up super dry. You're probably gonna have some drool on your pillow or something like that. If you tape your mouth shut, it's gonna encourage you to keep your mouth closed and then breathe in and out of your nose. And if you do that, you're gonna retain a lot more moisture and a lot more saliva in your mouth. Also, I would avoid any alcohol mouthwashes because the alcohol in mouthwash can dry up your mouth even more. And if you're on a lot of medication, sometimes you get a side effect called xerostomia. This is basically, in other words, a dry mouth from taking too many different medications. So you can also talk to your doctor and see if they can adjust certain medications and see if you can limit that dry mouth by doing that. So I hope that helped, and if you have any other tips or any other recommendations, let me know in the comment section below something that you thought of. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked that video. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel below, and I'll see you in the next video. Should you avoid dental implants? Well, the answer is both yes and no. If you have a missing tooth, implants are by far the best possible way to replace it. Now, that being said, nothing is going to be better than your natural given tooth. So if you had the choice, and one of the choices was to keep your natural tooth, I would probably suggest you keep it. So in this video,